Let me preface this by saying that I'm a 45-year-old male who has been enamored with astronomy and the celestial universe since I was a toddler. I initially started out by dressing up as an astronaut, pretending that I was traveling through the universe at the speed of light, planets, sealing mobiles, and anything that had to do with astronomy and that matter. I watched Star Wars and was fascinated with it, hence my obsession with outer space. As I got older, I began doing my own research on astronomy and was truly intrigued by how our universe works. I then studied cosmology, aerodynamics, astrophysics, and more topics pertaining to astronomy in college. Then subsequently, I became an astrophysicist working for NASA. I then underwent the astronaut training and became an astronaut while simultaneously being an astrophysicist. My childhood dream job. I was ecstatic. Little did I know that would immediately become my worst nightmare. But here's where things get interesting. My team and I were assigned to a mission on Mars. This would be the first manned mission to Mars. We were told explicitly to keep this information of the mission confidential. But after what I experienced, there's no fucking way I'm keeping this confidential from anybody. How dare they propose that? Sorry, I'll stop before I go on a tirade. It doesn't matter anyway, though. Shortly after you read this, I'll most assuredly be dead. But at least you will know the dark secret that NASA has withheld from the public. Meanwhile, what we were told was that potential extraterrestrial life was detected on Mars and that we were to investigate and make an astonishing discovery of new life. It struck me as peculiar at first, and evidently I shared the same reaction with my other colleagues. Extraterrestrial life, I thought. This has to be a prank. But it was certainly no prank. I joked around with one of my colleagues and said they're probably sending us there to rub it in the Russians' face if by an offhand chance we do discover extraterrestrial life. We both chuckled at that remark, totally oblivious to the fact that we'd be savoring every last moment of life a year later. We all inferred that this mission would be futile and that we'd find nothing, and that the detection was merely a result of miscommunication from the sensor. We were set to depart a month later, so final preparations could be made regarding the mission. I don't have a wife or any children. The only family I had were really my parents. I said my goodbyes, which, reflecting on that now, I wish I had been more intimate and emotional, as it would be a farewell. Mission day couldn't have arrived soon enough. The crew and I boarded the ship with ease. Not quoting David Bowie, but subsequently the countdown was commenced, and ignition was checked, and we were off to Mars. As we left Earth's atmosphere, I felt an odd sensation of tranquility. I sat in my seat enjoying the view. At least, I was trying to, but one of the crew members named Eli was a bombastic twat who couldn't keep his fucking mouth shut to save his life. He thought he was omnipotent, but it'd be proven otherwise later. Meanwhile, I was just irritated I was going to be forced to bunk with him for 10 months. 5 months in, and I debriefed a guy named Paul. He was nice and not a pretentious twat, contrary to Eli. We received an update regarding the detection of extraterrestrial life, and some odd, indecipherable audio was received. Computer experts were trying to manipulate the audio clip to see if anything translated to human language. Weeks later, we were updated and the audio was finally translated to English, and evidently translated to plague. That was pretty disconcerting to all of us on board. Eli then had the audacity to Sorry, he's irrelevant, but he just makes me so irritated. Contempt for Eli was unanimous. None of us could stand him. Anyway, I don't want to get into another tirade about him. Finally, we arrived and disembarked the ship. We were armed with Mossberg 715Ts, just in case any trouble occurred. The sensation of tranquility materialized again, and a sudden jolt of euphoria was being emanated throughout my body. I don't know if it was because we were standing on uncharted territory, untouched by humankind, or if it was because I had a perfect shot at Eli. I was standing behind him. It would have been easy to waste him then and there. Nobody would ever find his body. I could lie and say there was a fatal accident that costed his life, but that would mean taking out other crew members. Couldn't risk being incarcerated or put to death. I was oscillating between the ideas, wasting that pathetic waste of male perspiration Eli along with the rest of the crew. or sparing the assholes. I had to scrutinize the consequences that I could face if I do choose to act on my compulsion. The other crew members can turn their guns on me and shoot me. I don't want that. I do want to live. I would need to get further behind them. I don't want to bring attention to myself, so I have to be inconspicuous. I did so indistinctly, and seemingly nobody noticed. I lined up my iron sights with Eli's repugnant, malformed head and pulled the trigger. Bullets pummel through him and blood emerges from his head. The other crew members only had a moment to process what just transpired, and before their heads were turned into a mutilated bullet dumpster. Man, I resented Eli. Only the devil could have conceived such an abhorrent human being. My parents always said I was a special child and that my schizophrenia didn't define me, but I always questioned that, though. I escaped the mental facility and the police are about to detain me and presumably bring me back. I fucking hate Eli.